First, let's talk about the. Let's go ahead and talk about. Let's go ahead and do a breakdown of both fighters. You can start with Kell Brook.
I mean, me personally, I think Kell Brook is a solid fighter. He can do southpaw, orthodox. He can switch styles. Ring generalship, he seems to have a good eye on that. The ring generalship, ring IQ. Power, I think he has decent power. Footwork, I think he has decent footwork. But chin, definitely solid chin. A lot of things have been proven since the Triple G fight, even though he didn't win. But we've seen a lot of good things out of Kell Brook. Ring generalship, like I said, his chin, heart. Before the Triple G fight, it was kind of hard to gauge Kell Brook. The only other big fight he really had was the Sean Porter fight, which he won. But
it was still
we didn't see a lot out of him. Yeah,
right.
We didn't. That was an impressive win to me. But the Triple G fight, I kind of seen some signs of some good things in Kell Brook. He was overmatched. He was oversized in that fight. But you bringing it down to 147, 154 guys more his size. I think he could give anybody in those two weight classes trouble. Mainly 154. The 147, when he went up to 160 to fight Triple G, he claimed he could never do 147 again. He said the 147 was killing him. The weight cut, it just had him in a bad mood all the time. Mm-hmm. So now going back to 147, I'm just curious. We all seen the Roy Jones thing.
13 pounds.
That could play a factor in the things.
So a factor for him. So
at this point, it's kind of a 50-50 fight from my perspective, but I'm kind of leaning towards Kell for a few things that I see that he might have a slight edge in over Errol Spence. What you think, man?
All right. So backtrack on for I had a question for you about what you said about Kell Brook. Do you think though that he showed enough in that Golovkin fight to really make it feel like he would give Errol Spence trouble? Because like I'm looking at Kell Brook's record, and like I said, his first 10 fights in his career, his opponents their combined losses were like over 300 losses. So I still feel like he hasn't really faced like a tough opposition besides, Sean Porter. The guys he defended the belts against, they weren't really, they were all soft touches, guys from the UK that nobody heard of. But, he goes in there with Golovkin, at this weight, 160. And then he's able to, show some signs of being able to, what people say, expose Golovkin. But do you think that's enough to bring something to the table against, a young, strong, tough guy like Errol Spence?
To me, honestly, it's enough to bring out the best in Errol Spence. He has enough to bring out the best Errol Spence that we probably have seen thus far because of all the attributes that he does bring to the table. He's a thinker. He's a boxer. He can definitely box. He has a little power. But I think we'll see the best Errol Spence that we've seen so far because he's going to have his hands full. It's not just one. Kell Brook is not just bringing one dynamic to the game. It's not just power. It's not just speed. He's bringing a combination of all these things, which well rounds a fighter. So we have to see how Errol Spence deals with that. How Errol Spence deals with being on a big stage like this. Kell's been on a big stage a few times. You know what I'm saying? How does Errol Spence intake all of this stuff?
Yeah. And I think that's what's going to make the fight 50-50 because, like, I really think personally if this fight was just like in Errol Spence's backyard, like if it was, where he's from, I think he would have the advantage, the mental and physical advantage. Because right now I feel like he has the physical advantage. I think he is, he has the more power. He's hungry, he's stronger. But I think to level the playing field, Kell Brook having to fight in the UK in front of, that pro-UK crowd that's going to be screaming his name after that performance he put on for Golovkin is how he's going to try to balance the whole fight out. So that's where it's really going to come into play to see, if Errol Spence can handle that mental pressure, like coming out there, people gonna be screaming. You know how you keep.
We seen what did to Floyd. They was throwing beer on Floyd.
They were throwing beer
in his face. So I mean, you talking about Floyd Mayweather, the most famous boxer on the planet right now, and he got disrespected there. So I mean, that's something that Errol has to rise above because it's going to be there.
Right.
I mean, the UK fans, that's a different type of fan.
Man,
you know what I'm saying? They're diehard fans.
Diehard fan. All they got is soccer and boxing, you know.
So that will have some play in the fight for the simple fact that, you know, I mean, like they say, sometimes you come out, the chance of deafening is light. I mean, 60,000 people.
Yeah.
Has Errol Spence fought in front of 60,000 people before?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't think he has, and it's just a lot of new things for Errol Spence to have to experience where Kell Brook has kind of seen him a little, tasted him a little bit. Not a whole lot, but he's tasted him a little bit. You know, he's used to fighting in the UK in front of big crowds.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's used to, you know, the lights and, you know, the fight week preparation, the interviews, you know, it's hectic that week. You know, it's constant. It's constant stuff you have to do, you know, on top of all the training, being mentally, you know, prepared for one of the biggest fights in your life. So it's just so much at stake with this fight that, I mean, like I say, it's hard to call it any other way besides 50-50 at this point because, I mean, each guy has advantages and disadvantages for different reasons. You know what I mean? Like you say, just Kell fighting in his own backyard, like I say, coming off the Triple G momentum, even though he's lost that, but he's coming off that momentum. Like you say, some people thought that he exposed Triple G, but he has that momentum. He's fighting in his own backyard. He's the champion at 147. You know, it's the IBF welterweight champion. I mean, it's a lot on the line. It's a lot on the line, man. It's a lot on the line. I mean, it's like you say, is Kell ready to let this guy come over and just take what's his?
Right.
I mean, and is Errol Spence ready to go in his backyard and take it?
Yeah, there could still be something. There could still be something in Kell Brook's mind. I know what you're saying. That could say, "You're not coming over here to take this belt."
Absolutely.
Me, you know,
absolutely. In my backyard.
Yeah, and you're not coming to my backyard. You're not going to take this belt, because he's back in his weight, 147. This ain't Triple G, so he's probably going to come at a different level. So, like, I probably have to say then I give Kell Brook the mental edge, you know, by a slight margin. I give him the mental edge. What about you?
Yeah, I can agree with that. I can agree with that because the power all day long I give to Errol Spence.
Yeah.
The power, you know, this guy, I mean, and he's a body puncher. Yeah. We've seen Kell hurt to the body.
Yeah.
You know, that's another factor. I mean, Errol Spence is a body puncher. You know what I mean? He is a body puncher. He's a southpaw. You know, Kell does really good with southpaws. You know, how is that going to factor in? You know, is Spence going to go to the body because he's seen him hurt to the body before, try to slow him down, try to take his power? You know, how is he going to?
Because I give you know, Errol Spence the physical advantages, just because like you were saying earlier, you know, Kell Brook, that weight, that's going to be the one big factor in this fight.
It's going to be
the weight coming back down from 160.
A determining factor, yeah. What strain did he put on his body to make 147 again?
Right. Because, I mean, when you look at him,
his frame, it's no way 147 is, I mean, he has the legs, the calves, the thighs, the arms. He's a big guy.
Yeah, he's a big guy. Like,
to squeeze into 147. I understand what he said. He couldn't make that. That looked out. That you can see that. Okay, that makes sense, dude. You don't look like you could ever make 147. I understood that. Now he's back to making 147. When he said 160, he felt great at.
Yeah.
It's just it's something that remains to be seen what's going to happen.
Yeah, and before this fight, before he officially took it, you know, it was said that after that Triple G fight, he was going to go down to 154 because that's where he felt he would have been more comfortable at. And, you know, at the press conference, the Kell Brook press conference, he was bragging that, you know, he's a big guy. He walks around at 175 sometimes. So how is coming down 30 pounds going to be any type of, you know, advantage he has over Spence?
Especially at Kell being the older man, he's 31. The older you get, like I said, your body physiology changes.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, something you might have could have did at 21, 22. At 30, stuff starts changing. I mean, can he lose 30 pounds and still be effective?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Is that possible? I don't know. I mean, from what came out of his mouth, it was impossible to do.
Yeah.
But we're gonna see this weekend. It's gonna be done.
Yeah.
He's gonna be at 147 with a title on the line.
So in all, I give Errol Spence the physical edge, definitely, just because he's only been at this weight since 2012. He's still young. He's still strong. He can make the weight. You know, his body can still come down to that weight. He says he walks around 170 sometimes, but he has no problem at coming down to 147.
Oh, really? Spence said he walks around?
He gets up, I think, like the 160 something, maybe 170, because he was just bragging too, to saying, you know, I'm just as big as you are, you know.
But the body style 147 looks better.
It looks better
on Spence.
It looks better,
than on Kell. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I mean, he just had. I mean, Kell, those legs. I mean, when you got big legs and stuff like that, you know, legs are heavy. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I look at Kell Brook. You know, he's 5'11", and just the way his build is, he looks like a junior middleweight, or he looks like a middleweight.
Like I say, 160 wasn't. He didn't look out of place at 160 at all. He looked perfect.
He making Triple G look small.
160, Kell Brook wasn't flabby. He didn't see any rolls or anything. He looked like, kind of how he looked at 147, to be honest. I mean, he looked really the same.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we know it's 30 pounds different. It's not the same. It can't be the same, you know, because it's 30 pounds difference.
Right.
But, you know, 147, I mean, just Spence's frame, it looks more suitable for him, you know what I mean? So, like I say, I think the weight will be a factor in the fight. Like you said, we give the mental edge to Kell Brook and the physical edge to the young lion. I mean, Errol Spence is on a... You
know, weight's not going to be the only issue. You know, also got to think of his eye. Eye. You got to think of that eye, that broken orbital bone he had. Like, how well did it heal? You know, he's saying that it's healed. You know, it looks good, but how is it really? Because you know Spence is that's going to be their target.
I mean, when you think about it like this, I mean, a fighter's eyes are one of their best weapons, like their hands in the ring.
Yeah.
I mean, without your eyes, you can't see. Sugar Ray had the torn retina. We seen he never recovered from that.
Right.
He never, you know, that's damage to the eyes is very bad injury to have in fighting. So, I mean, Kell Brook, even though he may be healed up, is he gun shy about that eye though? Is he, you know, if you feint him, is he gonna, you know, respond because he's worried about the eye? We don't know. I mean, that kind of seems like it would be human nature. If somebody broke my eye socket, then if I see somebody, you know, I'm gonna, you know, that just seems natural. I don't know, you know what I mean? But that is a very, 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 very dangerous injury.
Yeah.
You know, it's common in boxing, but it's a dangerous injury. Some people have orbital bone breaks and never came back.
Right.
You know what I mean? So the fact that he's coming back kind of quick. I mean, it hasn't been a year or two since he's fought. You know, he's coming back kind of quick from a bad injury. So that has to be a factor in the fight, you know, because, of course, Spence being a fighter, that's a target for him. Okay, this eye was injured. It's not savage or anything. It's just, it's the name of this. It's boxing. It's a sweet science. You know, you look for somebody's weaknesses and capitalize on them. So, I mean, we can almost assure that eye is going to be a target.
The eye's definitely going to be a target.
It's going to be a target.
Yeah, because Spencer's style, he likes to go to the body. So, it's going to be one or the other. You know, if he's blocking the eye, it's going to be the body. He's trying to block the body, he's going to the eye. You know, and that left hand lines up perfect for it. So, when you go back and look, as far as physical edge, think about it. Kell Brook, like you said, it's been less than a year. He's coming back after the eye injury. 13 pounds, dropping down to welterweight for a fight against a young, you know, power puncher. How's that gonna, you know, how's it all gonna play out for real?
And think about it, man. I still have to take my hat off to Kell Brook once again. First for stepping up to Triple G when middleweights wouldn't even fight him. But now going in there with another young lion that nobody will fight,
Yeah.
and he's getting in there with him. I mean,
Yeah.
who does that?
Yeah.
You don't see that in the boxing game. You
Yeah.
don't see guys
True.
going to the most avoided fighters
That's true.
in different
Yeah.
weight classes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, so
Do you think there was
this
ever,
dude's heart is crazy.
Yeah.
Who's going to win? I think it's a 50-50 fight, but it's very, very interesting. There's so many factors, you know, that come into play with this fight. And like I said, man, it could be a candidate for fight of the year, and I think we in for a real good fight this Saturday. I really do.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's probably, like I said, it's definitely the best welterweight fight of this year.
And
That hasn't even happened yet, but I can
Right.
say it's definitely the best one that was put on paper.
And I think, surprisingly to a lot of people might think that it didn't have the players weren't right to make this a top level fight, but I kind of disagree. You know, like you said, I mean, this is kind of like the best welterweight fight. You know, because people didn't really put Kell Brook in the realm of the best welterweight. You know what I'm saying? Errol Spence is coming up, but the closer the fight's getting, the more people are saying, "Whoa, this is an interesting fight." You know, neither one of these guys are marquee names, but it's a big buzz for this fight.
As far as prediction, if I had to pick, I would pick Errol Spence by a late round stoppage.
Late round stoppage.
Like, I don't see him knocking Kell Brook down. Because I feel like Kell Brook does have a really good chin and the heart. But I think that either he might target that orbital bone, and, you know, might cause that to open up, that damage, or he might just, you know, rock him good and hit him with some unanswered shots. So I'd have to go with the late round stoppage. If you had to pick, what would you pick?
Kell Brook by decision. I'm not sure if it'll be majority unanimous, but I think that it could go to the distance. And I mean, in the UK, if Kell Brook shows any type of signs of dominance or flashiness, or he could sway the judges, and it could be one of those nights.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's in the UK. I mean, he could steal rounds. He could do the Sean Porter thing, grab and hold. I don't know how they judge that over in the UK, but if Errol Spence doesn't knock him out, he can lose that night if it goes to the decision. I don't see Kell Brook knocking him out. Errol Spence needs to knock him out to win. So that's what I'm thinking, and you know, that's what I'm thinking. Hopefully it won't go to the judges.
Yeah.
Hopefully it won't go to the
Man.
judges.
I hope it won't. Man. I hope it, you know, whoever wins, you know, I'll take my hat off to it because it's a good fight. It's a good fight for both guys. So,
Right.
yeah, I did give them both respect for taking this fight.
Absolutely. It's time for the best to face the best so we can see who the best is. You
Yeah.
know, the cream needs to rise to the top. So,
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, we got to commend both of these guys for taking this fight, because this is the stuff that fight fans want to see.
Yeah.
We don't want to see the fights where you can guarantee, say, oh, that guy's losing, he ain't got no chance. We don't want to see that. We want to see competitions that.
Shoot, that's pretty much all I got to say about you.
That's good.
It's a wrap.